And there's a dog. Meow, Huples cat. So it's about 4:30 in the morning. This is about 1.5 hours later than I would like to have left for my bug out, but I'm exhausted. Getting home from work yesterday was enormously difficult. I was able to use a taxi for like about half of the way, and then I bombed lifts for the rest of it and used a bit of transit. But overall, my normal 2-hour commute took me about 8 hours. Total pandemonium. Ever since the bomb went off in New York City, the dirty bomb, everybody's been glued to the news. People have fled cities. Cottage country is majorly crazy. So I was able to talk to Kitty yesterday as I was at work. So I talked to Kitty by phone. It was of course my last day, and the plan was for me to come back to the house, tidy up and leave the key with the neighbour, and then they were going to come and pick me up. So I told them not to pick me up. So what I'm going to do is I'm actually going to head out. I'm going to literally bug out. I have almost no equipment here at all. Everything's at the Shire. Even the bicycles, which turns out to be a really stupid move. I should have left at least one bike here. So I'm faced with about a 300-kilometre hike. So I think that's unrealistic, and I'm really worried about Biden retaliating with nukes on Iran or even on Russia or China. Who knows who did this bomb on New York City. So the plan is that I'm going to get out of Newmarket and they're going to come and pick me up. So what I'm effectively going to do is I've got to stuff for about 2 or 3 days, and I'm going to head out that way and wish me luck. Now of course this is hopefully fiction, it doesn't become true like my Pandemic 2019 series. One of the things you want to do is you want to dress in layers, and you want to make sure that the layers that you have on are not cotton. This is a new fabric, so it's not a cotton layer, and as you get hot, before you start to sweat, you want to take the layers off. You want to have at least 2 pints of water. That's my second one. And if you can, a coffee. Now all too often on bug out videos I see people putting on these huge enormous army boots. Army boots have certain advantages. If the city's been bombed or destroyed and there's nails and glass on the ground, obviously you want to have a pair of boots on. These are pretty sturdy, and these are what I'll be using. These are a lot lighter weight and they fit my feet, and it won't make such an effort walking. Of course my pack's far too heavy. This is a simulated, fictional bug out. So to make it a bit of fun, once I've done 1/20th of my actual bug out, I'm going to hang out by a pond and make a cup of coffee and maybe some porridge, and Kitty and Wolfie will come and pick me up, and we'll enjoy the rest of the day getting ready for the move. See, part of having a bug out plan is to have a scenario bug out plan. We all have an idea of what we think is going to happen, none of us know. It's about 38 Fahrenheit, about 4 centigrade, light wind. It's probably going to rain heavily. It may even snow later on today. You want to go just relax, you don't want to get short of breath. I have to get out of town. I have various ways out. I'm taking the fastest road route. Security concerns are minimal. Of course, this is going to feel and look a whole lot different with no electricity, no moon, cloud cover, pitch black, really pitch black. In a case like that, you might want to use the flashlight to see where you're going with your feet. Whatever's going on, use corners. People normally have a tendency to go in straight lines, so you make 90-degree turns. On a long walk or a long hike or a long bike, think of corners as opportunities. Cut corners, but cut them gently, like so. So there is in fact quite a lot of moonlight, but there's a whole bunch of cloud in front of it. So it's important to know the phases of the moon. Obviously if you don't want to be seen, you want to go when the moon isn't there. And if you do want to be seen and you want to see where you're going because the train's difficult, you want to do it when the moon's up. You may not actually get the opportunity to do that. But I think we're all very, very used to bright streetlights like this. With no power scenario, this becomes radically different. Much more frightening in the first phase, much more dangerous in the first phase, except it really isn't. The danger would be traumatic injury from cars and from falling over things, especially if you've panicked, especially if you're taking people with you like young children or elderly relatives. So there's the sidewalk, and that's where I want to go. So, time to cut the corner again. And the same goes for roads. Be very cautious. cut them in a long cut as well. These few feet, these few meters that you're saving over and over by conscious thought about where I'm going, what's actually the safest and quickest route to it, will make a huge difference. Be aware of security. Remember, electric cars can sneak up on you these days. Well, it's a bit darker than I assumed it would be. It will lighten up soon. Before I leave the urban environment, you can hear cars a long way off. So in conditions of no light, really be listening for cars, identify points where you can hide out if you don't want to be seen. However, when you're in the urban environment, mostly people will have this sort of thing to walk on. Concrete. If you can, walk on flat grass. Much easier on the feet, and you will be thankful after 18 miles. If you have the choice between an asphalt verge and the road, take the road. However, beware of the fact there's 3 points of road. This is the safe route. You're facing traffic. You want to face traffic. There's the middle of the road, which is the best part of the road to walk on, and the other side of the road, which is dangerous because traffic's from behind you. What you want to do on an extended walk, if it's safe, you want to walk on all parts of the road, the left, the middle, and the right side. The reason being, it will break up the leg strain. This is especially important if you live in a flat area like Florida. Now, let's cut a corner. This is an old road, it goes nowhere. It was abandoned when they built a major highway, which you can hear in the distance, which is why there's traffic coming here. I happen to know this route, I happen to have been on it before, so I'm comfortable taking a pedestrian shortcut. You probably can't see this, but there's a concrete barrier across this road. Now I'm off the abandoned road, going up a little side trail, back onto concrete. One of the things I did to make this fun is I'm carrying all the water today. I'm not using water tablets, not using a water filter. Typically I would be doing so. I've got streams and ponds like everywhere. But if the grid's up and it's safe, make sure that you do carry something that some of you youngsters might never have seen before. Cash. Seriously, no reason at all why you can't use a Timmy's to get a coffee and a snack and use their washrooms, if it's safe to do so. Okay, so I'm about to literally cross a major highway and get out of Dodge. See, I have a few choices of pathway. This is asphalt, I don't like it at all. I could walk on this, but it's a little banked. What I will typically do for the whole of the route is I'll walk in the roadway wherever I can. It's much flatter, much softer. I don't know about you guys, but in Canada we have emergency highway, emergency bypass for main highways. If you have them in your area, follow them occasionally, know where they go and what the routes are like. Be wary of using flashlights. There's really not much point to them unless the ground's uneven, very uneven. And even then, look at your eyes, listen. You'll find stuff out much easier without blinding yourself. Flashlight dependency is a bad thing. A whole bunch of people are pushing Olights and all of these expensive flashlights. This cost me $1. Got a few of them, it's fine. But about every half an hour or so, no matter how I'm feeling, especially if I'm feeling good, what I'm going to do is stop and spend about 2 or 3 minutes shucking the ruck and assessing what's going on. I want to know how I can get around this intersection without going through it. If it was unsafe, I don't want to be going through here. Nice steep verge, there's water there, I would take that out and I would drink it if I had to. As you can see, it's still pitch black. Because it's black, one of the things I'm doing right now is I'm walking on the right side of the road to give my legs a break. It's actually really important right from the beginning not to walk on one side of the road only and not to walk at one pace only. This isn't the military, we're not trained for this. It's going to be tough. Give yourself a break. And a pond there. Easy to dash over, grab some water, leave, treat it and carry on my journey. So there's a little house, there's a little pond in front of it. Remember, these houses will have dogs and shotguns and alarm systems and won't be that friendly if you come wandering across their property. One of the increasingly interesting phenomena is solar powered lights that are motion detector. How well do they work? It's pretty useless. It gives them a tiny bit of light to park, but again, That might be something you might want to appropriate and grid down. They also have them at grave sites. Pretty low powered. So this is the Quaker settlement. Interestingly, this church is where Kitty's mother used to go as a child. In terms of security, if you have lights on in a house, be aware of the fact that everybody can see it at night. I heard this car before it crested the hill. I could easily get in a ditch and avoid it if I wanted to. It's going to make the whole place quite light, and I don't want to look at the lights of it. There it goes. It's actually the first car I've seen for ages. But if you use your ears and react quickly and are aware of what's around you, where can I go if I suddenly have to dive down? Remember, the key thing is movement. Don't have your head popping up to see if they've gone by. Lie flat, face down, don't move. Have, possibly, depending on the situation, a knife in your hand underneath you, ready to go if you have to. The Babbling Brook. Another car coming, I heard him a while away. So this is actually checkpoint Bravo. And if you want to live here, that's how much it's costing these days. I've gone about halfway and I'm feeling good. And I do a checklist at every stop point, which I will get into once dawn arrives. So as far as the camera's concerned, there's absolutely no difference in light, but the human eye is much more sensitive. Dawn is coming, so this is about the time, I heard a cock crow, this is about the time that I'm actually going to start to head off and use the fields around me. There you go. So I'm going to grab some water, away from people, away from roads, and I'd cook myself something up, something nice and nutritious, maybe some coffee. If it was winter, I'd use a thermos flask. And then I'm going to go another 15 to 20 minutes north, away from people, to actually camp and sleep during the day. It's much easier to hear cars and people and animals and even bicycles at night, and much, much easier to avoid being seen by them. Once you get over the fear factor, Blair Witch has a lot to answer for. Checkpoint Charlie, there's some more water. And there it is. So I stop for 5 minutes, I hydrate, and I go through a system. And of course it's still so dark, there's not much point doing that and showing you it. Onwards to Checkpoint Delta. So people always say use railways to get out of town. Most of ours actually have fairly decent roads next to them. Use the road if you can. You have to be kind of smaller than me or taller than me to comfortably walk on the actual track itself. You can probably see dawn is fast approaching. On an actual bug out, I want to have had my breakfast roundabout now, and then I want to go about another 15 to 20 minutes away from the cooking site. So it looks pretty dark to you, but it's pretty not to me. If I was in this ditch, any cow would see me. So for me, the principle of bug out is to avoid being seen, avoid interaction, but go from A to B as fast as you can and as safely as you can. And of course I work night shift, so for me it's kind of obvious for me to do the bug out at night and sleep during the day. I've also done a lot of races at night, a decade or more ago, and the decade or more ago is definitely feeling on my body today. But night has no real fears for you. You shouldn't be worried about being out and about at night. It's a lot safer, a lot easier to be hidden at night than it is during the day. I can clearly see colours and numbers and letters at this point. And there's a dog. And it's kind of windy. It's coming up to about 7 AM and I'm actually about to hit Checkpoint Delta. So I think, depending on when Key wakes up, I may be finished and I'm walking back along the road for when she comes. We'll see. This video was brought to you by a Purring Cat Production 2021.